Alrighty, hello everybody, and welcome back to the MALT quarterfinals. Thankfully, that transition was very smooth as we continue on with this mega block of matches to chew through for the end of the quarterfinals weekend. And as we mentioned before we cut the stream off, this is going to be our next match. It's going to be Unitori going against Playboi Carti here. As always, my name is Sparky, and I am joined once again by none other than Mifa. Mifa, how you doing?
Hello. It's at the very least, very short break to just enter this next match.
Yeah, for sure. And hopefully both players are prepared this time around as we make our way on into it. This is another losers bracket match coming through here. So going to be saying goodbye to one of these two players before this match is over as well.
Looks like it does seem to be Playboi Carti does seem to read Flashlight well enough because I believe this wouldn't be the case for the match coming up, especially with Playboi Carti does play with no mod.
Yeah, I think there's more just maybe a little bit of just having fun a little bit with the warm-ups, maybe not wanting to reveal too much of what they are capable of. This map definitely an order of magnitude above what they're probably going to be playing through in this match, so
I forgot how ridiculous Lost Coast chars are, especially in the 7-key department.
yeah, they do kind of go off the rails a little bit, but if you're able to handle them, it's very satisfying being able to play through some of these.
I'm actually kind of scared right now because having Unitori be able to play such higher density chars like this without, the slightest bits of flinching. Maybe in the second-ish quarterfinals match, I believe this would be kind of a walk in the park, but not really.
Yeah, for sure. And as opposed to some of the other matches we have had, this is the second half of the weekend for both of these players. So this is a match to punch their ticket into loser semifinals. So definitely a lot to play for both of these players as we make our way into the last third of this chart.
Even for a long nose at this kind of level, it's kind of intimidating to when you say that this would be like you would project it to see this in the, I don't know, maybe like grand finals of MALT or something like that, but I think this would be off the rails of what you would see MALT's grand finals look like.
Yeah, this would be if everything just kind of went out the window and everybody was just destroying the map pools going into like finals.
When pool isn't so apprentice anymore.
When the apprentice becomes a master mid-tournament.
Graduating from MALT into like Mania World Cup level, that's kind of the thing.
Yeah, I mean, this was designed to be for the players. It's an entry level tournament for those dipping their feet into 7 key, sure, but at the higher level, it's a tournament for those players like on the precipice. Maybe not good enough to make their Mania World Cup teams for 7 key, but are maybe like that fifth man, sixth man on the roster.
It's kind of funny to see that even in Mania World Cup level, this would be like what, round of 16 almost.
That's disgusting.
Yeah, well, yeah, I guess in apprentice level is not really that much, so we're going to see it in the second warm-up, it seems.
Yeah, we're going to see it with DT as well to get it over and done with sooner rather than later as well. So we'll be getting into the match proper before too long.
Does seem to have a penalty for the stream. We cannot. I mean, it's it would be grateful to see this live. Otherwise, this would have been muted right now.
Oh. Yeah, if you are watching the VOD, rest in peace. We're gonna be muted for a little bit, but we'll be back as soon as. Who
It doesn't
knows?
really matter.
Maybe it survives.
It doesn't-
Maybe our commentary is enough to dissuade the YMCA from coming down on our heads.
I mean, it doesn't really matter because of what we say will just be muted. So we're kind of talking to a brick wall here.
True. If you are here, you're getting the pure, unfiltered experience of our commentary. This is ridiculous that anybody would attempt this on double time.
Nope. It definitely doesn't say 5.2 stars because it says DT. So
Yeah, but it puts the little star next to it.
Oh yeah, I mean this would be probably like what 7 at best because it's kind of core jackish nature.
Yeah, I think it did say 7. And speaking to the previous map, the fact that both of these players are still holding on to their S ranks at the moment is filthy, to say the least.
Yeah. Oh, this is 7 note quad too. Ah, yep.
The goofy 7-note 7-note chords, transitioning out of that into everything else you have to read through is a sight to behold, and it's quickly becoming a bit of a war of attrition between the two players. See who can hang on just that little bit longer.
Oh yeah, with this DT, this doesn't seem that long, especially 2.5 minutes. But you would have to endure this kind of patterns like non-stop. It just gets funny.
Yeah. I mean, now I'm expecting some really high scores coming out because if they can handle this, then this map pool should be a walk in the park for both of them.
The collapse for the 7-note chord.
Jesus.
This is what we call expressive mapping that we normally don't see in 4-key.
Yeah, you're allowed to get away with it in 7-key. And still a quarter of the chart left to go. They're within 1% of each other. It's very interesting the fact that neither player has really fallen off a cliff here. And they're both ghost tapping. They're just vibing right now.
Oh, okay. I mean, I kind of want to see how these players would perform on the Turks chart because this is pretty brackety, especially with not let alone the core jacks. So this could be a interesting way to start off with.
Yeah, I also want to see him play the actual, like, let's see what else is in this.
Okay. The interesting to note is that the Akis is also. I mean, this wouldn't be such an this would be pretty indicative on how you would see the match so far because this is just play with DT and nothing else comes close to it. With a roll with a 7 per Playboi Carti and Unitori wins the roll.
That 7 is an intimidation roll.
All right, so Playboi Carti is gonna have to ban maybe alongside the LNs because you normally don't want to touch LNs against Unitori because how versatile in that department. Or
Yeah,
unless
for sure.
unless I'm being proven wrong and you probably ban the hybrids, but I mean the John Cena ones is a pretty intimidating pick for a hybrid. So okay, going to let out a sigh of relief, you know.
Yeah. So LN1 being removed from the pool. See what Unitori gets rid of, and it looks like it's gonna be Rice. Rice 3 actually. So that was the map I wanted to see, but
yeah, well, I mean, given that this is also a core jack, so Playboi Carti is already a master on its own skill sets. So we don't normally get to see that. So with Unitori's first pick, it wouldn't make sense to pick anything other than the LNs, really. So going to the Crush Alcohol.
yeah, so LN3 going to be the pick here for Unitori to start this match off. Unsurprising when all is said and done. It'll be very interesting to see when they actually pivot into LN4, see how that performance goes. But for right now, we start anew. First map of this best of 11. First player to 6 points will be seeing themselves in the losers semifinals. The loser will be eliminated from this tournament.
I'm legitimately interested on, like you said, the LN4, the Joyful Snowfall, which is it's a really different kind of LNs that you would normally expect. And given how faster paced the LN picks that we've seen, especially on the warm up by I believe it was Unitori's warm up for I Want to Be a Girl. So this is an entirely different approach to that. And although we get to there soon until we get to Unitori's pick on the next Unitori's pick, so we get to see this one first.
And the empty Star Command comes out. We are going to get this match underway much faster than the previous match.
Well,
And
I
good
mean
luck to both players.
that's kind of that wasn't a really fair comparison to make up with, especially with the slight bit of an issue of side reading the pool. But these players do not side read the pool, especially when these players already played in the first match.
Yeah, they have no excuses from here on out. As we make our way through this introduction, and I was saying in the warm up, I expect this to be a very close match between these two players.
Between the start differences on the score, Unitori does win. Have a higher score than Playboi Carti on the previous match, but it does seem to have Playboi Carti takes the lead actually a little bit.
Yeah, they're gonna play tug of war with this leaderboard for quite some time here. They're within 500% of each other, and they're gonna basically duke it out mano a mano for the time being. Going into the second quarter of the chart now, both players still holding on to their FCs for the moment.
Oh
it is going to come down to who blinks first, finds that first slider break, but we have a bit of a break section to kind of regain some composure and reorient yourself for the back half.
I already saw about 0.04% score difference until Playboi Carti drop a 200 on the shorter LNs. Might not want to Percy this, especially.
Yeah, definitely a cause for concern on these LN charts, but if you can kind of swing some decent accuracy, it can get you along if your opponent finds some slider breaks.
This one's a bit different, especially with the one house snaps on the longer notes. But there's this one left on the one house snap, 2 or 3 Nord chords that might trip some people up, especially for these two players. But we'll get to there soon-ish.
Yeah, we get into the part of the chart that has given a lot of players issue. We see runs come to die here.
Wow.
And sure enough, a massive accuracy drop from Playboi Carti, able to hold on to the full combo, but at the expense of massive amounts of score difference. Going into the last eighth of the chart now, both players holding on to their FCs, but the damage might have already been done. That accuracy discrepancy has ballooned in favor of Unitori for the moment.
And there it is. Finally finding the drop, and Playboi Carti immediately just gave up from there.
Yeah, they knew. Could not afford to find the drop.
Understandably so. And even Unitori with a full combo, actually. That's impressive. Impressive buff, especially with the up score there. 20,000, scoring more than 20,000 for their newer record there. Very clean FC as well.
Yeah, very clean indeed. And they take the first point in this match to make it 1-0 with Playboi Carti immediately going into Rise 2 here.
This is a slight jab into Unitori, especially with the warm-up that we've seen from Playboi Carti. This would be I guess this is slower, especially this is not with DTs, of course. Well, this is more alongside of sharpshooting on the slower, denser core that is not entirely a core Jax.
Yeah, so we wait for the players to get ready. See if we can maintain some parity here in this match, or if Unitori can pick up the first break point to start putting some pressure here.
There's quite a bit on the line as well for Playboi Carti, because if Playboi Carti does lose this, he wouldn't have much of an option, especially for picking the other Rice picks. And even though there's a more abundance on the Rice picks in particular, on some of the different categories of this pool, but seeing this alone should dictate how Playboi Carti should play out this match so far.
Yeah, and on we go. This is going to be two very high scores, barring any misses coming through, because they're both very capable of making their way through something like this. And right now, advantage Unitori for the moment. It is about a 0.1%, still very scalable for Playboi Carti, but it is a gap nonetheless for the moment here.
See, this Playboi Carti does hit a little bit earlier, even for a rainbow, and it does constitute for a number amount of 300s rather than rainbows, so it might have actually kind of stolen the lead back to Unitori just because of that.
Yeah, but Unitori finding a couple of 300 rushes as well, closing this accuracy gap to about 0.05% for the moment. It is hundreds of points that the players are playing with as we begin to transition once again into this tug of war in the leaderboard.
The score difference isn't really that far off. And there's a miss by Unitori, and Playboi Carti takes the lead for 2 draws by him.
Yeah, reversal of fortunes. Going into the back half of the chart now, Playboi Carti still holding on to their FC. Unitori really getting taken to town right now on these structures, transitioning into the break section here, but the damage might have already been done. No answers back in terms of combo breaks from Playboi Carti, and it is a commanding 30,000 point lead for them.
It would take, I don't know, like 4 to 5 misses in sequence to be able to catch up, but this is the hardest section, which it just involves more into brackety-ish with 6-note chord as per, you know, the hit dancer sections, and Unitori does find some issues on that one. And it's a very clear, I think it's very clear to say that this Playboi Carti does take this point because of that alone.
Yeah, Playboi Carti does finally find the break here. Doesn't give up playing this time around. I think if they have the leaderboard on, they might see that they have a pretty sizable advantage going into this ending. So is going to play this through, thankfully, to the tune of about a full percent in terms of accuracy discrepancy. Unfortunate to break the full combo, but I think the point is more than enough compensation for that as they make it 1-1 now.
And this is a very good start for Playboi Carti to making sure he got the picks right. And given the rest of the picks gone out, maybe venturing into like Rise 5 and Rise 6 in particular, the Turks chart and also the XP chart, that is a very, very long one. And this would play into his favor. And we're going to see not LN3 because it's already been played. I believe it's probably a Joyful Snowfall.
Probably.
Or probably a little story, I don't know.
Unless they like slip the referee like a $5 and they're like, hey, I'll just like Venmo you a 20 if you let me play LN3 again.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's already a massive advantage of playing Crush Alcohol. You don't want to play too much Crush Alcohol because it would drunk you out basically. And we're going to Little Story. This one's a different one to experience for these two players because it's not necessarily dense. It's just out there to get you with the it's kind of funny transitions, like the 676 columns. Like I already said it a couple, maybe 1,000 times already. But this would dictate a lot, especially with how you would actually combo and making sure you're not overholding them. So this would be the case.
Alrighty, so here we go into the third map of this best of 11, currently tied up 1-1.
All right, there's a 200 play Unitori on that one transition that I talked about earlier.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to watch out for that as this map continues on. And there's always a risk when you're able to swing LN charts, but the density gets a little bit too much for you sometimes. When you get into these more simply structured charts, to bring your opponent back into the fold, into the conversation, to try and get a breakpoint off of you. And right now, not looking to be the case at the moment. Playboi Carti does trade back some of that accuracy drop down into the low 99% mark. Unitori still hovering in that 99.5 as Playboi Carti finds the first slider break here.
Playboi Carti did drop like
Ooh.
three 100s because of the overholding, and Playboi Carti already find another drop right there. That's gonna trade, and actually finding another drop actually, this would be very catastrophic for Playboi Carti, especially when we're not even to the second half of this chart yet.
Yeah, they're taking considerable amounts of damage through some of these structures, and Unitori able to kind of flip the script compared to the earlier Rice chart where Playboi Carti had a pretty commanding lead. Now Unitori has that to work with as we make our way into the second third of the chart here.
Doesn't seem to flinch for Unitori to, not hitting the 676 trails like before, but Playboi Carti did find some repeated misses on the more the LN side anyway. Starts to grow very quickly after that successive misses by Playboi Carti, and even Unitori with one drop, accuracy is really tight right now.
Yeah, about 2% now for the players to navigate through, and Unitori looking very comfortable so far. As we continue on here, last of the chart still left to go. We repeat the earlier structures that gave Playboi Carti so many issues, and they're quadding their way through them.
Well, I mean, just ice cream sandwich the whole thing. Not really just a quad anymore.
Yeah, I think they realize that it's like, okay, I'm not touching Unitori on this chart. They're probably still FCing, at least in their eyes, that they know that there's really nothing they can do in this situation. Just maybe conserve some of the stamina and take their points where they can elsewhere.
Yeah, when he did finally realize that it's just so over at this point.
Pretty much. And yeah, it's a bit of a mentality thing. It's like, why waste the energy knowing you're not going to get the point in the first place? But at the same time, it's like, you never know. But I think they know. They know what Unitori is capable of. They respect the fact that they're a very good LN player. And I mean, like I said, they're going to do the most of their damage on those Rice picks, and they want to make sure they have enough energy to put up the performances that they need to on those specific picks.
Yeah, especially with very stellar performance by Unitori. They're only dropping 11 200s on that so far, with the very classic of a chart, really.
Yeah, sure enough, Rice 4 immediately.
Oh boy, this is interesting. This is really interesting. I believe this one is the convert chart, I believe.
I believe so, yes.
We haven't seen too much of this chart from I don't know, when we first get into the cast and into the lobbies and whatnot, seeing all the matches. We haven't seen this one being picked so much.
Yeah, it's tended to get avoided so far. I think a lot of players just opting not to go into this willingly, or it's been banned out most of the time as well. So it'll be interesting to see how this one plays out.
When we actually saying that this is a convert, well, a convert in some kind of like a BMS chart, converts are scary because it would actually makes matters a lot worse, especially when you play this on non-ran, where you would play this normally as it's supposed to be. But luckily, this has some edits to it, so it doesn't really benefit all too much.
Yeah, and as we continue on through this introduction, making our way into the second quarter of the chart now, it is about a 10th of a percent once again on these Rice charts. They are so close. It's just a matter of who blinks first. Unitori was the first one to blink, but Playboi Carti this time around on the transition finds the first drop and another one to boot as they continue on through this little bit of an interlude. The density is still much to read through. It catches Unitori out as well. The trade has occurred, but it is to the tune of about 0.5% that they hold on to the lead for the moment. 11,000 points in the back pocket to work with.
There's still one missed buff right there for Unitori, but this transition alone is really wrecking Unitori right now. There's a one more missed buff right there, but Playboi Carti did drop so much accuracy on that too. So it's really just a 4,000 point lead.
Yeah.
Oh, that one LM.
Yeah, it's deceptive there. It's a really quick transition, and it catches Playboi Carti out. Not out of it just yet, but it does stem some of the bleeding from Unitori. They were starting to pull this lead back over to the blue side, and as Unitori begins to build up, there's a couple of accuracy drops coming out from them, but able to hold on to the combo here. Is going to cross that 400 combo mark before too long, and is going to start to pull away here just a little bit. A quarter of the chart left to go. Not out of the woods just yet, but this is the best they've looked in terms of trying to take one of these break points off of Playboi Carti here.
Just about 7,000 point lead. It's just really what it says. And Unitori does find some struggles in a little bit. As well, Playboi Carti did drop up like a few 100s on the transition alone, especially with the mini jacks. But it does seem to come to a close. There's a drop right there. That's just gonna be enough. Oh my god.
The golden opportunity for Playboi Carti to make this at least interesting at the end. And one last slider break for the road. Unitori picks up the first break point in this match to make it 3-1 now.
It's all it's just identical when it comes to 200s and 100s. The ratio did come out on top for Unitori, but the misses from Playboi Carti is a little bit too much.
Indeed.
And there's only one more pick for Unitori that comes to mind, especially with how, it's just dominant on the LNs. And it's actually going for Live is Piano, going to venture into the land of hybrids.
Yeah, I think there's a bit of an adventurous pick, maybe just leaving LN4 on the table to potentially close this match out. They would have had to have gone into the hybrids anyways, of their own volition, so better to get them out of the way early than needing to rely on them going into it. Not blind, I'm pretty sure they're not sight reading, but they haven't played it in match yet.
Well, it does seem that Unitori says he doesn't really play any of the hybrids, so I'm not sure if this counts as a sight read, but we'll never know because the intentions are lies with it hidden within him.
Ulterior motives. We do a little bit of lying on the internet.
I mean, it doesn't really matter anyways because if you're sight reading this, the chances are there's no couple hiccups because there's a random SV anywhere.
Yeah. We're gonna get into this now. Introduction very clean for both players. Going to be trading this lead back and forth once again. These starts for both Unitori and Playboi Carti are very close. It's just really who can hold on that little bit longer.
Seems like Unitori does release a little bit too early on the long nose, so it might have been just a couple 200s being dropped on that alone actually.
Oh, and a slider break. That's a pretty significant drop as well. It's right before the break. Some free time for Playboi Carti to build up some of this advantage that they have found themselves with. Back out of the chart still have to come. There are still some pretty complicated structures to read through, but this is looking very good for them to try and take that breakpoint back.
There's still a couple, the LNs like there, Playboi Carti did drop like a couple of them 200s. And the accuracies are now pretty much almost dead even, actually. Oh, actually, a couple more drops by Unitori, but it does seem to be finding his grounds a little bit more. Playboi Carti did drop below, almost. Just literally the same accuracies now.
Yeah, and on we continue here. Last quarter of the chart still left to read through, and Playboi Carti does find the drop. Relatively clean overall, holds on to the accuracy advantage here and the score lead, but Unitori is making a relentless comeback at the moment, firmly above that 400 combo cap, not trading it back. There's still enough time for Playboi Carti.
Oh, actually, the lead's getting closer right now. It's actually going back to Unitori right now. There's only about 100 points score difference.
They're going to get back up over that 400 combo cap. They're going to be able to take it back at the last second.
Oh my
and
God.
Playboi Carti hangs on for dear life to take that
Oh my
breakpoint
God.
back.
The 200 count is just identical. Again, that's a clutch performance right there for both of them. But unfortunately, the drop coming a little bit too late.
I'm willing to go out on a limb and say that if Playboi Carti missed any later on that, it would have gone Unitori's way by maybe double-digit points. They crossed that 400 combo threshold in the nick of time, and as soon as they did, they immediately clawed that lead back.
What a clutch performance by Playboi Carti, just immediately responding with the denser pick. Again, we get to see more brackety style here, and I don't know if there's some momentum back in, especially for the morale here. Especially winning on the unexpected hybrid that Unitori does seem to be telling the truth about side rating that isn't really comfortable to him.
Yeah, they were doing pretty well overall. It's unfortunate that that miss came out when it did, and they really weren't able to build up some accuracy to stave off that potential comeback or to be able to capitalize when that miss came through. But that is all said and done. We are on the cusp of equalizing this match 3-3. Playboi Carti not out of this just yet.
Okay, some harsh transitions. Playboi Carti did find early, too early drops actually.
Yeah, someone was core staying them for a little bit of a ride, and it's going to give Unitori a bit of a buffer to work with here very early on. That being said, Unitori actually finding a bit of an actually drop as well through that intro.
Some stray 200s being dropped from Playboi Carti just on the breaks alone. Maybe ghost tapping isn't the best way to approach this.
Yeah, it's always a bit of a heart and mouth moment whenever players start doing that, but the accuracies have equalized. Playboi Carti has brought themselves back up to contest against Unitori, apply some pressure here.
Unitori did severe drops right there. It's actually now equal to a miss, really. And now Playboi Carti's back in the, accuracy lead right now.
Yeah, equal to a miss, but still able to hold on to the full combo here. But ow, as I say
that. Wow. That is it. That is a completely cursed right there. And again, Playboi Carti did find some grounds here a little bit, but we still have the ending.
Yeah, ending coming through here, not treating Unitori that well. A drop and another 100 for the road here as we make our way into the last quarter. Playboi Carti does eventually trade it back here, but Unitori doesn't have the virtue of that combo cap to start chipping away at this lead, so no harm, no foul at the end of the day. The accuracy discrepancy also playing a massive factor in Playboi Carti staying ahead from that drop with a sliver of chart left to go. It is looking very good. This ending is really hard to read through. It's going to be a matter of keeping it clean here.
And Playboi Carti does not flinch at all with this kind of accuracy, and Unitori does find the last drop, but 21,000 point lead is pretty sizable for Playboi Carti to make out right here. Coming on top.
It is now 3-3. We are now essentially in a best of 5 situation. Unitori up to pick next, and I imagine Allen 4 might be on the cards, but they do still have 2 of the hybrids to play with as well.
We're now leveled for both of these players. We still have 1 LN remaining for Unitori, so it really doesn't make out of woods yet, but they're going to see another hybrid coming out of Unitori here. Something tells me that leaving LN open is kind of a strategy when you're actually being backs against the wall, basically.
Yeah, that's basically their joker to try and secure a point at the end of all of this, because I think they will still have another pick after this to make. So again, they were going to have to venture into these hybrids before too long, so might as well get them out of the way early, see if you can get one of these points over on Playboi Carti before needing to make that venture into the last LN.
Yeah, keep in mind that this pick is very short, and especially how chokeable with the finger independence Ellens on one hand. And this does trip up, I believe with Kyosu and Shabest on the previous match, finding a lot of drops on that Ellens alone. So this might not favor both of them essentially, but it just comes down to the Ellens.
Yeah, I feel like we might see a situation where somebody just completely bites it on one of those one-hand transitions, and it's basically just game over from there. No recovering from that. But both of them actually taking a pretty sizable amount of damage, down into the 98% range. Gonna be able to start climbing up here, maybe stabilize a little bit before bleeding any more score over. But Playboi Carti finding that aforementioned drop here and down into the 96% range as they start trading once again.
Both of them really not having fun with the Ellens, especially with it just kind of staggered at some point, and Playboi Carti really is not having fun right now.
Yeah, this is one of those picks that they probably wouldn't have ever voluntarily signed up for, so this one might be secured for Unitori with about a third of the map left to go, unless they just have a complete meltdown here at the end. But they have shown a level of comfort at least above that of Playboi Carti's on the LN or the denser LN structures found in this map pool.
Yeah, really just a 1.2% score in terms of accuracy defense, and with a lot of drops from Playboi Carti's side, this is basically a done deal for Unitori right now. And Unitori does take his own pick, but at that point, there's only Qualia and a Joyful Snowfall really for Unitori, so they still have one trump card to pick with.
Yeah, that's going to be their way to get it to match point. If they can get this breakpoint off of Playboi Carti, it makes this equation a lot simpler, but it is going to be Rice 6 coming through here.
We're kind of avoiding the, not kind of avoiding, I mean, probably the prioritized pick here for Playboi Carti to pick Kirby.
Yeah, and it's going to leave Rice 1 on the table for them to potentially go to. I have a feeling Qualia is not going to be played in this match, but I mean, I've been proven wrong before. Players have defied expectations in the past, so it'll be interesting to see what becomes of this match after this pick in particular.
Yeah, so this is a long one, so they need to buckle up and maybe prepare for the worst transition in the, like 3-minute mark, essentially. This has happened for Kyosu before, and I'm kind of scared to see that now for both of these players.
Yeah, I imagine that's going to be the road decider if it's really close. Like, if it's within 1,000 points, that is going to be the moment that defines basically the rest of this match.
All right, we'll see cute background with evil intentions behind this chart. So we're going to see how close this one actually, given this is a longer one. So Ratio going to play a little bit on that front.
Oh, and Playboi Carti is finding maybe their keyboard disconnected. It is inside the first 30 seconds, so they do have the option of getting that abort here, but it's going to be up to our referee's discretion, especially if Playboi Carti hasn't called it out here. But given the fact that they aren't playing this map, it could very well be an abort situation as they as we await to see.
Yeah, I think this would be grounds to abort right now. I might be seeing the chat, I think, given, you know, there's some sort of a situation on the keyboard or something like that.
Yeah, they might, if the keyboard's just gone, they might not even be able to get the referee's attention because of that. So unfortunate situations here. Like I said, it did happen inside the first basically note of this chart, so it is grounds for it, even if the referee hasn't noticed. It's unfortunate for Unitori because of the fact that they are basically putting their best foot forward at the moment. But for right now, we continue on and we wait to see what is going to happen here. As we see the playfields hiccup, I imagine that's the abort coming through. We'll keep you guys posted. Yeah, sure enough. Yeah, it just froze. It was inside the first 30 seconds. That is allowable for what happened. So
I mean,
Yeah.
hopefully not. Hopefully not for Unitori in this case.
Yeah, it definitely just breaks up the momentum a little bit. I mean, I'm pretty sure it would have been a jarring experience regardless because of the fact that Unitori probably feels like the advantage on this chart goes over to Playboi Carti, that they needed to hyper focus. So expending that little bit extra mental energy to basically act your way through some of the harder sections of that introduction, it's going to be a bit of a tall ask to do that again on command. But I mean, they're no stranger to these types of situations in tournaments. I think they have enough experience to kind of work through that.
All right, so hopefully nothing bad happens for Unitori in the second attempt. So we'll see what happens, especially with Playboi Carti's issues sorted out.
Yeah, hopefully, knock on wood. Everything is good to go here from here on out as we await to get back into this map. The MP Start command comes out.
All right, second attempt going on. Hopefully, what Unitori said doesn't really affect him that much, especially with how he actually still put FC into that first quarter. So hopefully this does seem to be the case.
Yeah, it's one of those just kind of take a deep breath and buckle up once again. And I think this is a stronger start for them through this introduction. They were in that 99.5 range, unbeknownst to them of what was happening on the other side. And now that they know that there is somebody on the other side, they're holding on to a higher accuracy and actually able to take the accuracy lead for the moment before picking up a couple of 200s on some of these chords.
There's some bits of 200s by Playboi Carti's side, and we get to see the streams that I think Unitori was talking about earlier about not missing on this section alone.
Yeah, so far so good. They are still holding on to the accuracy advantage, about 0.3% in the lead at the moment as they both hold on to their FCs once again here.
Unscathed. Actually, Unitori doesn't really miss at all to this point, so great job for keeping on actually before we get to the first attempt there.
Yeah, some really strong mental fortitude being shown on their side as they still manage to hold on to this lead. And it's going to come down, like we were alluding to, that one burst towards the back half of the chart. If it stays as close as it is, that was a very loud 100 coming through from Unitori, but still holding on to the FC for the moment. They need this to last for as long as possible to keep themselves ahead, because Playboi Carti isn't really building up any semblance of accuracy. They are cresting that 99.2 mark, but it is still a 10th of a percent in favor of the red side at the moment. As I mean, the charge is going to be there, the pressure is going to be on, but it is on Playboi Carti to form here.
Not exactly a clean drop by Unitori because of lots of 100 and 200 being dropped, and now Playboi Carti is breathing on his neck right now. Basically, 0.07% of score in terms of accuracy difference.
Ooh, but a couple of 100s put a damper on that charge. It is relatively clean transitioning on into the last third of the chart. It is about 3,000 points in favor of Unitori for the moment. 99.4, 99.3. And again, it's pressure on both players' shoulders. It goes both ways. Unitori needs to hang on to this full combo for as long as humanly possible. And Playboi Carti needs to basically put the foot down and start building up some of this accuracy to take back some of this lead. And Unitori drops on the transition.
There's a drop in the transition, but this is not on the what expected on the drop would happen. There's still a lot to go.
The chord stream gets a little bit harder to read through. The bursts start to come through intermittently in between. Can definitely take you for a bit of a ride if you're not careful about it. And as we continue on, Playboi Carti back and forth.
Playboi Carti did find the second drop, but is relatively cleaner than Unitori.
Yeah, still able to keep themselves ahead by about 0.2%. Unitori actually surviving that pretty well as well. In with a shout now as we make our way into the last sliver chart. If Playboi Carti isn't too careful, Unitori can take this out from underneath them, but it is about 6,000 points in favor of the blue side at the moment. There aren't really that many tricks left up this map, Sleep, but you need to be able to maintain full focus for the remainder of the chart.
one more miss could swing this go to the Unitori side, but at the moment, I think this is the only part that is left in the chart, and nobody seems to be taking lots of drops on that. There's a couple of accuracy drops right there.
Oy.
There's a drop right there by Playboi Carti at the end. And finally, we get into the best of 3 scenario.
Best of 3 indeed. I don't think there is a world where Unitori voluntarily goes back down into the hybrids. I think it has to be LN4 for them to secure themselves that tiebreaker situation.
And if that happens, and if the Unitori does find his momentum on the hybrid 3, oh no! Oh, this is so scary because what we're seeing from last time from Kzon versus Chavez, it all comes down until the last 5 seconds of the chart, and it's basically what's gonna happen here.
This is risky. I can understand maybe, but I mean, they went 2 for 2 on the LNs. Why not basically rest on the comfort? Maybe they just don't like LN4. At least they don't feel comfortable going through it cleanly. And we're gonna get into hybrid 3 instead. Unitori on the cusp of punching their match point. And Playboi Carti needs to respond on their next pick. If they get this breakpoint, it makes the equation a lot simpler. There is Rice 1 still on the table, and you imagine they're going to immediately go for something like that after this.
There's no way Playboi Carti would pick LN4 in this scenario, though.
Yeah. But as we continue on here, Unitori taking a bit of accuracy damage down into the 98% range. Going to start to climb back up before too long, but Playboi Carti actually finds the first drop here. Relatively clean, does keep themselves within striking distance, but another couple of 200s coming through here is going to ruin that, and another break as well.
Unitori does find some issues on the accuracy, however. I mean, even though Playboi Carti did drop below 98 with another drop right there, it does seem Unitori doesn't have a good time on this accuracy at all.
Yeah, but very importantly, holding on to the full combo, not trading back any of those misses is going to give them plenty of cushion to work with for the moment. About a full percent now in the back pocket as well to work with. They can tank through some of these later sections now as Playboi Carti finds another break on the transition, and I imagine they're just mentally preparing themselves for what is to come on Rice 1 and potentially that tiebreaker.
I mean, this pick does work in Unitori's favor, but again, all of that just comes into the last 5 seconds, even though the score difference is already this big.
When Unitori does eventually find the drop here, another one to boot as well. Going to put a bit of a dent in this lead that they have built up, but not too much. Like I was saying earlier, they have built up enough of a cushion to be able to tank some of the damage from potential drops, and with a quarter of the chart left to go, Playboi Carti has done a really good job of building up their accuracy once again within about 0.2%. If Unitori doesn't keep this clean, there is still a world in which they could potentially lose this pick.
17,000 or around 18,000 points of lead, and it's all gonna falling down if Unitori is not careful in handling the ending.
Yeah, but I think there aren't that many tricks left up this map sleeve, and Playboi Carti is going to be the one to try and answer back on the LNs, unable to do so, picking up quite a number of misses, but they're trading back and forth, and it is going in their favor for the moment as we begin to close this map out. A lot of misses at the end. Those last 5 seconds are deadly as we finish it out, and it is 5-4.
This pick does work in Unitori's favor, and Playboi Carti really does not need to hesitate and picking Rice 1 immediately. So we're going to see a joyful snowfall being ignored for this match.
Yeah, there was no world where they would voluntarily go into LN4.
In what world you would pick this against Unitori because on LN4? Because it would absolutely make a 180-degree flip. Because if that happens,
that would have been a power move, but no, I think they know what the job is. They need to secure Rice 1 here to get to that tiebreaker. I think there have been moments in this match where both players have felt that they were done for, and they're exceeding their own personal expectations.
we're going to see the final regular pick on this match, and Playboi Carti needs to nail this right, otherwise it's game over for him. Really, the streams give me literal headaches on who's gonna actually win this now.
Yeah, this is very much a potential for a bit of a sharpshooting battle between the two players, as again on all these rice picks for the introductions, it is inside of 1/10%. They are fighting
God.
as it flips back
Literally,
and forth.
accuracy is just literally just on the edge of being one miss away.
Yeah, whoever blinks first is potentially going to be on the losing end.
This is the one. Actually, the accuracy is almost tied. The 1-200. But Carti did find a drop. There's 2 drops right there.
Oh, but Unitori finds the break in return. Oh my goodness, there is no safe sections.
That's a complete blunder from that, because that's the easier one to break on that.
Yeah, but fortunately for them, Playboi Carti also found the miss a little bit earlier, so not able to fully capitalize on that potential hiccup here. Both players know nobody above that 400 combo cap, nobody really getting full credit for their judgments at the moment, but it is still a 1/10% between both of the players. As we continue on, it is 5,000 points in favor of Unitori for the moment. Last little recharge still have to go. It is all to play for both of them. We either go to tiebreaker or we have a decisive winner at the moment, and we are continuing on to the end.
Score difference is actually getting even closer to Playboi Carti right now. Unitori finding a drop right there. No way. Actually, Playboi Carti is nailing this and is going to a tiebreaker.
Oh my goodness, at the 11th hour, Unitori finds the unfortunate drop. They had the ratio difference to be able to keep themselves ahead, but that miss at the last moment seals the deal for them.
An identical score between both of them is just 1 miss away, and Unitori gives it after the last 10 seconds. And now we're going to see, I believe this is the 4th tiebreaker that we've seen on this particular round. Already starting with the flip opening with this kind of tiebreaker, so this is a dangerous way to see that. We're probably going to see a lot of, I mean, both of these players side read, so, you know, stuff like this happens time to time where these people didn't really expect a tiebreaker.
Yeah, it's always funny. I feel like tournament players have this really bad habit of just instantly saying GG as soon as they see who they're playing against, without actually having played them yet. Like you gotta make them prove that they can beat you, and neither player has really proven that they can beat each other just yet. Here we are at the tiebreaker. Both of them are going to be sight reading this. I feel like the advantage might be in Unitori's favor because of the fact that they are a lot more comfortable on LN in comparison to Playboi Carti, but anything can happen. If they can keep it clean enough to be within striking distance, they can probably capitalize on some of the heavier rice sections and make their charge there.
Yeah, but here's the thing about, I mean, we've seen Playboi Carti who did win a lot of his piano, so there's some fighting chance happening in the more the physically demanding ones. But at the end of the day, I think the Alice might have been a bit of a test for him to making sure that he's able to withstand the amount of density on this chart.
For sure. So looks like the 2 minutes are up for the players. We're going to get into this tiebreaker before too long, and we're gonna see. I mean, this is the ticket to the semifinals on the line, hanging before both of the players. They are now ready. The MP Star command comes out. We have gone through 10 maps. This is the 11th of 11. We're going to have a winner in 5 minutes time.
They're hanging on by a thread, so really, both of these players need to be playing absolutely out of their minds to be able to get their top 12 secured for the next rounds, basically.
a very calm introduction for what is to come. And both of them handling this introduction very well. You can very easily hand over an inadvertent cushion to your opponent if you aren't too careful. And that being said, it is actually starting to get handed over to Unitori. Despite not crossing that 400 combo cap just yet, it is a full percent of accuracy discrepancy between the two players. Once again, they are both sight reading this at the moment.
Because of the LNs with the flute section going on here, this seems to be having a bit of an issue for Playboi Carti especially.
Oh, but Unitori trades it back here. So neither player's safe through this introduction, but it's really just going to be a matter of who can mitigate the bulk of the damage. And in the exchanges, both of them actually being put through their paces at the moment. We were saying that Unitori might have had a bit more of an advantage on these LN heavy sections, but the fact that they're finding these slider drops, they're not able to really take full advantage. But Playboi Carti is having that little bit more of a tough time making it through down into the 97% range. Unitori is still above the 99s at the moment.
I mean, this is all that it goes for LNs really, so it's just a battle of attrition actually for LNs, especially with Unitori being manhandling this very well, and a lot of issues for Playboi Carti right there with the releases.
Yeah, but Unitori is also starting to take some damage here as they try and hang on. A lot of hundreds coming through before they find those slider breaks. And we move on out of that section into the second quarter. A potential chance for Playboi Carti to build up some of their accuracy before we make our way into the back half of the chart now.
Right, more of the upbeat sections coming out here, so hopefully we get to see a little bit more of a relief for Playboi Carti right now.
Oh, and that being said, unable to keep it together there. I feel like just having those outer columns inundated with LNs is just a little bit too much for them to handle sometimes. As we continue on, gonna have some free time to build up back up to that 97% range. Unitori still in the mid 98s right now, but as intensity starts to pick up, they're gonna start finding the misses here, and this is the prime opportunity to start chipping away at this lead.
Still a lot of LNs to go here. Playboi Carti actually need to nail this way through, and even Unitori does have a couple of drops actually from this section alone.
Yeah, well, it was a 30,000 point lead, now shrinks to about 10,000. Playboi Carti on the road to recovery here, but as the LNs start to become a little bit more inundated, they're starting to find their drops. They were able to read it through it the first time. The second time around, not as fortunate as things begin to go back in favor of Unitori, starting to build up their lead once again.
More LNs coming up right here. This would be pretty disastrous for Playboi Carti really, because if all he can is really just going through the motions in the ratio, Unitori does have it in mind, and now we're going to a little bit more techish section on the flutes here.
Yeah, last third of the chart still left to go. Unitori going to find the first drop in the section, not traded back here, and it's gonna once again put a little bit of a chip in the lead.
Here.
But as we get into the LNs, this is going to be an opportunity for Unitori to start to pull away. Not able to take full advantage here, starting to trade back and forth between the two players, but the trades in this situation only help Unitori, who has already built up a very healthy cushion. With a quarter of the chart still left to go, it would take a complete meltdown at this point to make this any closer than it could be.
Really do see a lot of misses on the LNs alone by Playboi Carti, and it really does spell a doom in that front. But Unitori does have a fair share of struggles in between sections, really. So it does seem to matter a lot when LN's coming around here.
Yeah, like I was saying before the chart started, it's just a matter of who can basically mitigate the damage through their weaker sections, and it looks like Unitori is doing a bit of a better job of doing so. As we make our way into the last level of the chart, these chords start to come through, and a couple of nasty misses coming through, but it only puts a slight damper on the score lead at the moment. And as we come to the outro here, there's very little time for Playboi Carti to mount any sort of comeback, just barely now crossing that 800,000 point threshold. Unitori is probably going to cross 900,000 before too long, and as we make our way into the last complicated LN structure, this really is just trades once again, and at the end of the day, Unitori is going to be able to do just enough when all is said and done.
All that's left is just really just tight LNs right here, especially at the end, and Playboi Carti already knew that he was going to making sure he's not going into the top 12 right now, and Unitori does win this match 6-5 on a tiebreaker and securing the top 12 spot for the next round.
Yeah, congratulations to Unitori for punching their ticket into the losers semifinals. Commiserations to Playboi Carti for being on the losing end of that tiebreaker, but doing very well to make it this far, probably further than they were imagining themselves when it came to this match in particular. But with that being said, that will do it for this match. We are not done with this block of matches just yet, though. We are moving on to match 3 of 4. It is going to be Axelerixx taking on Kzon in a couple seconds, actually.
I mean, it's already coming up. It's already coming up. So we're still gonna keep this in a little bit longer, especially with after that match, we're still gonna have to see Jungle, and I believe it's also by Kyosu as well for the next match. So we're really holding on with the chain of matches here. And I'm already scared to see what kind of match this is, especially with concerning star rating. I believe this is also Flexo chart, so I guess it does make sense.
Yeah, they're playing with Nightcore.
With Nightcore. Yeah, I did believe. Song is completely ruined right now.
Yeah, this is... I feel like Axelerixx has shown a level of improvement that is bordering on the lines of inhuman.
How does Axelerixx get into MALT again?
That's a very good question. Proving that they are the #1 seed and showing off a level of physicality that very few players in this tournament possess and are capable of pulling out on command.
This pick does belong in Mania World Cup if you're not one of those OD0. Expressive mapping comes into play with Flexo's cards in particular, even though with some kind of ridiculous patternings. Even though it's rolly for what it is, it's just really crazy.
Yeah, for sure. And still half the chart left to go, and I don't know, I'm at a loss for words. Axelerixx still holding on to the S rank this late on with the absurdity that we have seen so far.
I'm not convinced that even with Axelerixx like having S rank on this still plays in MALT. I'm just so concerned about how this is actually gonna play for Grand Finals. Maybe Apple Select will have to step it up a notch on the difficulty for next rounds.
Maybe. I mean, to be fair, there are still like this is one of those cases where it's like, yeah, they're able to combo their way through some very rolly charts. It's like,
oh my god,
who knows? Maybe at the end of the day, they're just nipping their way through it to make it look cool, and they need to be able to put it together on the actual map pool. And there are players that are very scarily accurate on some of these mid-game pools.
Oh
who
my
knows?
God, literally S rank.
You know, just casual things. What does this person eat in the morning to be able to do this?
Keep in mind, even with score V2, even with OD0, it does still penalize you for hitting really, really early. And this player is really in the top contention maybe for later rounds, really. I'm sort of flabbergasted. I believe this would be the second warm-up that we're going to see here. Hopefully, this is... Well, I guess this is still short for what it is, but it's still not getting any better because the star rating still does say a lot.
I forget the fact that in the Northern Hemisphere, winter does actually exist, or at least fall weather does exist. Very hard to prove in my corner of the hemisphere, it is still bordering on 40 degrees Celsius here, despite it being fall.
40 degrees Celsius is just like hell on earth, basically.
For sure. I'm sure there's other countries in the world that can relate where it's like, yeah, it's fall, quote unquote, but it's really just like summer light.
Summer V2.
Summer V2, exactly. So hearing that it's actually cold in places is absurd.
Someone did put up a heater on that kind of hemisphere.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is not getting any better because the warm up is still very hard. I'm still so concerned on how these people get into MALT now. These handling some of the transitions.
Yeah, people are just built different sometimes. It's one of those, like, at the start of the tournament, it's understandable, but the skill boost that some of these players can sometimes get, like, sometimes it just comes naturally to them. Like, something just clicks when they get into pressure situations. I know there are players that thrive off of pressure situations, and it just causes this level of overperformance that just sticks. And Axelerixx has been that kind of player where they go into tournaments. I remember them joining 4DM, and they were basically like your average 4-digit player in 4-key. And they left that tournament basically being one of the better players in that tournament, being able to make it to, I believe, losers finals, and being one of the hard carries for the Canadian roster. And it happened here in 7-key as well. It's like they started this tournament basically being during the registration phase as basically like somebody that would have probably been like a mid-seed, maybe like upper, like top 10, but ending it as the number 1 seed and just going on like this perpetual rise that they haven't found their ceiling yet.
Well, normally you would see that people that are getting into 4-key is gonna struggle a lot harder to get into 7-key.
In the
But if you
7-key.
learn, yeah, into 7-key. But if you naturally goes into 7-key, it's actually getting a lot easier to transition to 4-key. And
Yeah.
I think that has happened a lot in like many World Cups so far. Even in 7-key to 4-key, we've seen like YZ from South Korea side, and this is on the opposite end where you would normally see a lot of people struggling, like myself, actually, getting 4-key to 7-key, and these players are kind of the anomaly.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, like I said, it's every player progresses differently, and if you don't know where your ceiling is, then you never find that ceiling. Nobody's told you that you have to be a beginner at a intermediate beginner level, so it's understandable. So we get the rolls out of the way here. Kzon getting the 64, Axelerixx getting the 43.
Kzon's getting the Nintendo, and the Axelerixx getting the 43 point, and looks like Axelerixx is probably... I'm not sure what S is gonna ban here, especially with all of these warm-ups are LNs. So there's no clear indication of who's good and what's not. It's going to be a joyful snowfall here for the ban here.
Yeah, understandable. That has basically been the priority ban for this weekend. It always seems to be an LN chart that players just do not want to go into.
Looks like Kzon's probably gonna be banning on the Rise one. Maybe venturing into bans for the Rise, or is it actually another LN? Because that would be like pretty anticlimactic with all of these LN warm-ups. And it's going to be another core jack ban.
Yeah, that's understandable. In this instance, Axelerixx, Mr. 999K, last round on the core jack. Yeah, that's a respect ban.
That is indeed what it is. I believe that. I don't think anyone can touch any of the core jack scores by Axelerixx in this case. So
no,
we're straying away from that one.
And this is going to be an LN versus Rice battle. Axelerixx is going to go 5 for 5 on these Rice picks. Maybe not 5 for 5 on the actual map wins, but they're going to willingly go into those Rice picks. And Kzon's going to find most of their success on the LN hybrids, just force Axelerixx to perform on those. Definitely able to. They're maybe overplaying the amount of pain they're going to go through, but they have to expend a little bit more energy to make sure that they can keep that ratio pristine as we get on into it here.
Also, maybe you can correct me on this one. This is also probably also the win in the winners bracket, so they still have a, one more chance that they went into losing this match in particular. So there's a lot of chances for these players to maybe mess up, especially with this kind of caliber of these players have.
Yeah, for sure. So anything can still happen. I always like to emphasize it's not. Don't defeat yourself before the map even starts. You can definitely swing a performance that can shock yourself and shock your opponent if you are able to pull it together. And Axelerixx finding the first break here, going to give Kzon a bit of breathing room to work with, but they do trade the miss back and a couple more to boot as they drop from their 99% perch, but Axelerixx trades it back, and we're going to get back and forth here.
We are not being manhandling some of the LNs right here. I mean, oddly enough, because of the wilder LN warm-ups we've seen so far, doesn't seem to be the case. Although the scores does actually going for Axelerixx side, even with the drop right there, it's not even that big of a difference.
Yeah, I think they evened out the miscounts, and Axelerixx finding another slider break here, but Kzon doesn't have the accuracy to really mount the comeback, but that extra miss is going to be able to slide the advantage back on over to the blue side for the moment. It is about a 0.1% still in favor of Axelerixx, but they do not have the combo to work with. Kzon successfully able to get above that 400 combo cap here, and it's going to be able to start to pull away here just a little bit. Not as much as they could have, but any gap matters against the #1 seed here.
Literally a 4,000 point score difference is just negligible because of the accuracy being buffed by Axelerixx here. Actually, it's actually pulling back because of that.
Oh, but that's gonna put a damper on things. A couple more slider breaks and 100 release as well. Still holding on to the accuracy lead. It is all up to Kzon to hold on to this combo and not let the accuracy slip too far. They're actually starting to climb here as we make our way into the last quarter of the chart. The lead now about to crest 10,000 points as we get into a bit of a dense section.
A bit of a more streamish section that I think Kzon's doing really fine on this one, even though with just about 10,000 point deficit, it's one miss could still, I mean, get this even closer than before, but actually Axelerixx is pulling it back again with in terms of accuracy. The score difference is actually getting even smaller at that point. And actually with another miss, that's actually gonna make the score difference even larger than it is.
Yeah, like I was saying, it's like just hyper focusing on trying to keep the combo intact does lead to a couple more mistakes here from Axelerixx, and Kzon going to be able to pick up their first point here to make it 0-1. A good opening pick to start this match off on, with the accuracies being dead even.
Being dead even as far as what is a conversion for 200s and 100s, but there's like 550s being dropped by Axelerixx. It might have been like 3 or 4 of them might have been in slider breaks, but we're going go straight into the stream speed picks.
Yeah, I think the pick strategy is going to be Rice 1, Rice 2, Rice 4, Rice 5,
Rice 5, and Rice 6. We just go in order. So Kzon's gonna be picking a little story and I don't know, maybe crush alcohol. I think in this case.
Yeah, this could potentially devolve into a bit of a fist fight between these two players if they both play their cards right. Everybody loves to downplay their performances on these charts, but at the end of the day, your practice scores do not matter.
Yeah, we'll see when we get to there, especially with the chat actually discussing on how the tiebreaker would actually work in this mirrored universe, you would call it that way.
Yeah, it's very simple actually. You just play it. You take your licking. and you deal with it. Is the answer to that. As we make our way into the second chart, Axelerixx's first pick coming through here, and an opportunity for them to really just flex their muscles on this rice chart. It's going to be a matter of if they can keep it clean, because misses are still on the table if you're not too careful.
Well, I mean, this much of a score difference right there, even on the intro, that just says a lot with this kind of accuracy. Like, this kind of accuracy is still pretty illegal as far as I'm concerned.
I think we were mentioning it in an earlier match this weekend, where it's like players that are able to basically keep their finger control in check through some of these harder streams is going to be the real difference once we start to close ranks here in the winner's bracket, and not slipping away unnecessary 200s when all is said and done, as Kzon finds a break transitioning into the back half of the chart. It is 2% the difference between the two players, but this was borderline expected.
Already like a 56,000 point lead, and even though with Axelerixx intentionally failing the chart until he gets to revive back in, I think it still would be in Axelerixx's favor at this point.
Yeah, it's one of those, like there are some players in this tournament that can swing scores equivalent to what Axelerixx can do on this chart. So I don't want to overblow the level of performance that they are putting through here, but it is definitely in the upper echelon of the capabilities of the players as they find the break here. And like I said, they are capable of finding these misses here and there that can mar good performances. And once they get up against players that can match them on rice, that ratio is disgusting, sure, but there are players that can match that. And who knows?
Even then, already 8 on a stream pick that is just almost equals to 1-10 ratio. That's just not right in any capacity.
Yeah, but it is what it is, and we go right back down into the LN pool. It is going to be LN2 coming out here for Kzon.
This one, I would believe that Axelerixx has a fighting chance on this one. This is not as dense you would normally expect. And
right.
Kzon has a capability on releasing more of the LNs, but Axelerixx does have an edge on this in terms of accuracy.
Maybe in terms of accuracy, but I think they have admitted that their Achilles heel in pools has been coordinated releases, especially on the slower side. They tend to want to go into more dense LN charts, so this one might prove to be a bit of a spot of bother for them, even if they are able to keep those misses relatively clean.
Yeah, already seeing a 100%, not quite yet there yet. Even though 18 combo win, and that's 100%, that just says a lot. The one's dropping on the 676 drill as expected, because these players are really well capable of handling a lot of warm-ups so far.
And as we continue on, this is even sledding for both of the players. The accuracy is going to start to basically be inside of 0.1% at the moment. Hundreds of points separating the players for the moment. This is one of the longer charts in the pool, so going to be a test of mental focus, not releasing a key too soon, especially now we've crossed that 400 combo cap. Any misses from here on out are going to be devastating to the overall score of the run.
There's an overhaul there by Axelerixx there with a 100, maybe basic almost a 50. And Kzon's taking the lead just of that, but it's not a lead whatsoever. Yeah,
they're trading 10s back and forth. Then Axelerixx finds the first slider break. That was a bona fide 50, and it does cause them to lose combos. So this is the opening that Kzon needed in this chart. An opportunity to build up some breathing room here for the moment, not answering it back and taking advantage of the accuracy lead as well.
Unfortunate drop there by Axelerixx. Even then, there's still quite a bit to go. It's like a second half of the chart remaining, still going on with even second drop there by Axelerixx. It's just very clean for what it is.
Yeah, for sure. And as we continue on here, Kzon extending their lead, still holding on to the full combo for the moment and building up enough of a cushion to where even if they were to find a drop this late on, knock on wood, they would still be able to tank their way through it and maintain their lead because of the fact that Axelerixx hasn't really been able to spend much time above that 400 combo cap. Those trills, those 3-note trills that you point out, catching out even the best of players sometimes. And Kzon finally finds the drop.
I'm not sure if that's a client error, but I think it might have been an actual miss, actually. So, no full combo from Kzon here on out.
Yeah, they do eventually trade the miss back, but now with both players below that 400 combo line, nobody really able to take advantage. Is basically all square, and these exchanges only help out Kzon keep their lead for the moment. That extra slider break going to help as well.
Yeah, we're approaching near to the end of the chart, and I believe like almost 30,000 point lead already, with Kzon only dropping like once or twice. Really, this is just. I don't think there's any way to come back from this one. I feel. One more sliver of Elens here, and I would believe that Axelerixx is just trying to sharpshoot the Elens as best as he can, but knowing that the chart is already over.
Yeah, I mean, we were saying going into it, it's like they were going to have the ratio advantage, but unable to keep the slider breaks clean. And Axelerixx going to go for Rice 2.
I'm legitimately interested for this one. We're not gonna be seeing 999k for a spectator from the last round. This plays like you would normally see like an in the core jack, but it's just there's some 1/6 burst in between, and it's just like gonna throw you off sometimes. But Axelerixx has been shown in some kind of capacity, having been able to deal cores really well.
Yeah, they have a propensity to be able to read their way through them. Anything can still happen though. They definitely have the advantage going into this chart, but you got to be able to put that performance together. It can change in an instant.
All right, going straight right in. Let's just see what happens, because I feel like this would have been like the Axelerixx prime pick, if not the core jack one.
Yeah, I think core jack would have been #1 priority. If Protects existed in this tournament, I feel like that would have stayed in the map pool at the expense of this pick potentially, but that's a conversation for another time. We're going to get into it here, and I think the name of the game for Kzon is to just keep that accuracy as high as possible. Misses are basically not allowed on their side if they want to have a chance against Axelerixx on this pick in particular.
All of these are just rainbows for Axelerixx. That's just it's just you need to basically battle out with also a rainbow on their side, but it's just a tall order when you see this kind of accuracy like this.
Yeah, we're doing a pretty good job of it so far, being able to maintain some semblance of pace, only down into the 99.6 range, within 0.3%, and really the onus falls on the person at that high mark of 99.9 to maintain that level of pace, because they could easily fall into the clutches of somebody being able to maintain just close enough behind, and then that's when the pressure really starts getting applied here. As we make our way into the back half of the chart, both players doing very well to hold on to their FCs. Axelerixx falls from that 99.9 perch down to the 99.8. It is now a 10th of a percent serving both of the players, and we're going to play a little bit of tug of war with this leaderboard now.
A little bit, but again, 0.1% in terms of act lead is just it's still pretty small. But even though Kzon did drop a few 200s right there, but again, the start differences between the hit errors are pretty much substantial when you think about it, especially with Axelerixx having a solid wide line across the center, literally dead center right there.
Yeah, we're starting to get into this more dense section. A lot of 5, 6, 7 no chords coming through here. Still a quarter of the map left to go, and I mean, mission accomplished so far for Kzon, able to keep within striking distance of Axelerixx should they find a slip up this late on. They're still holding on to this pristine accuracy, 99.8. I don't think I've seen a single 200 come out from them so far, but it is still catchable.
That's a 200. There's a couple of them actually. Axelerixx, literally 0.1% of score difference. Kzon did drop a few 200s, but I think this would have been even closer by the look of things. But it starts to wind down, and seems like Axelerixx gonna take this a little bit of a 5,000 point difference, which is crazy to think about it.
Yeah, having the ratio of Kzon, but I mean, if you're Kzon, you take that in terms of not turning that into a runaway the other side. It's definitely a bit of a motivator knowing that it's like, okay, I can keep pace with somebody that is touted to be one of the best Rice players in this tournament as they go down back into the LNs. LN3 gonna exhaust the rest of the pool, and this one might actually be a bit of a risky one
Yeah,
because of the fact.
this is the one I'm not as comfortable as picking this against Axelerixx in this case.
Yeah, like I was saying, it's like their Achilles heel is coordination based LN. Once you get into a bit of a denser chart, it does bring them back into the fold a little bit. But there's still some sections that can give them some trouble in this chart. It's not all pure like LN streams.
Yeah, like what Axelerixx is saying, basically a Rise LN chart. So kind of you would normally play them as Rise, but kind of not really. But it's just act difference all day long. Does have a hiccup for Kzon actually in the intro. There's a couple of all over the place hit errors there.
Yeah, a couple of early releases to their name, but gonna be able to build back up before too long. But it does give Axelerixx a bit of a cushion to work with through this introduction if they start to fall in terms of their accuracy. But for right now, early goings with it basically being single note streams, it's gonna be easy for them to maintain this pace.
All you would normally expect to see drops are when you see some kind of, LN releases, but this has barely or none of the LN releases that much. So Axelerixx is going to have to edge it out, really.
Yeah, for sure. They have about 0.5% in terms of accuracy advantage for the moment. 2/3 of the chart still left to go here.
This is the only coordinated, somewhat, LN releases to think about. And we're going back right in with the more streamy sections.
And we continue on into the back half of the chart now. There is one section I'm really worried about, and it's those 3-note chord sections, but Axelerixx actually can find in the first slider break, still able to keep themselves ahead just for the moment off the back of that 4/10 accuracy advantage. But Kzon, best opening to start chipping away at this lead now.
Once we get to the one-half snap core LNs here, it's gonna change very soon if Axelerixx is not careful with this. Still ahead by what, 0.3% act difference?
Yeah, but now that they're above that 400 combo cap, gonna be able to keep themselves ahead just for the moment. Last sliver chart still left to go. They have just started that last quarter, and Axelerixx making it through unscathed, able to nurse this 3,000 point lead ever so slightly. See if they can get themselves over the line here. These anchored LNs not proving to be too much of an issue, but we're still continuing on with it.
All that's left is just this section, which I don't think these players are able to catch enough trouble as is. And even with Kzon's SE, it's still not enough for a sheer accuracy difference like that. That's just disgusting score, even with the miss.
Yeah, even with the miss, the fact that they're able to maintain enough accuracy to keep themselves ahead, that was a very risky pick. It was a necessary pick from Kzon. Did not work out in their favor, and now the path for Axelerixx to avoid the tiebreaker becomes a lot easier as they go into Rice 4 now.
This is just a BMS style that is basically meant to troll you up, basically.
Yeah, we saw a couple slip-ups in the match prior from both players. It got down to the wire at some points, but it's just a matter of being able to keep your composure here.
Yeah, the name of the game is literally you would have to manhandling these snaps very well, especially with some off snaps here and there that doesn't really contribute much, but it actually adds up when you think about it, especially in terms of accuracy, which I think Axelerixx does have the edge on this.
Yeah, but anything can still happen. As we saw on that core stream pick, Kzon definitely capable of maintaining pace to apply pressure to Axelerixx. And if they can do that again on this pick where the snaps get a little bit more technical, a little bit more eccentric sometimes, can definitely prove to be a breakpoint handed back if they aren't too careful. As we make our way through this introduction, it is about 0.6% opening up in favor of Axelerixx for the moment.
Still, oh, that's actually a couple. There's a 100 and a 200, but Kzon did find a drop right there.
Yeah, now it's going to be significant because of the fact that they just crossed that 400 combo cap, and as they get into this more technical section, not faring the best as we continue on here. Axelerixx growing that lead to about 20,000 points now.
Alright, we're still going to some funny patterns here on out that does seem to trigger some people's nerves at some point.
Yeah,
it's just handling this very well.
Yeah, it takes a little bit of damage for their troubles, but still able to keep it going. That quick spacebar trill, not giving them too many issues. We have seen some players break on that before, and I was about to say the accuracy lead is basically gone, but I realized it is a full percent. I misread the 99 and 98 between the two players, and I was about to hype that up a lot more than I should have. As we make our way into the last third of the chart, Axelerixx still ahead comfortably by about 30,000 points. It would take a complete collapse from this point on to give Kzon a bit of a chance back into this, but even then, Axelerixx has a couple of misses in the back pocket to work with.
You just play the repeated chords like you would just play as the chord jacks. And oh, that's a lot of nasty 50s on Axelerixx side, actually.
Yeah, but very importantly, holding on to the full combo here, basically keeping Kzon at bay, and that next miss. Oh, both of them trading on the same note here, but the damage and the trades only help Axelerixx in this regard, and they're going to be able to pick up their 4th point, successfully capitalize on that break point to make it 4-2 now.
Oh, those are dirty 50s there, right there. For Axelerixx, there's more 50s than 100s, and more 50s than misses, basically. And this looking to be the case for Axelerixx here, taking their own point after taking a break point from Crush Alcohol, but Kzon really needs to pick something else because Ellens are gone.
I imagine Hybrid 2 might be a option, but it looks like it's going to be Hybrid 1 instead, so Life is Piano going to be the next one.
Alright, we're going to see Life is Piano. I'm not expecting this because Qualia is in order when you think some harsher transitions. Life is Piano is a little bit too simple to make it out to.
Yeah, for sure. And I honestly, seeing this now, I think both players are just going in order down the picks. So this actually makes sense if they're wanting to maintain continuity.
Yeah, so maybe you just pick Rise 5 in this case for Axelerixx. I'm just...
Yeah, there's no world.
I'm
no
just
world
not
in...
guessing.
And on we go here. It is going to be pick number 7 in this match. Axelerixx ahead 4-2, an opportunity to make it a match point situation if they can pick up this break point. Kzon looking to do something about it here, though.
All Kzon needs to really basically an FC with also competing, not necessarily beating Axelerixx accuracy, but compete enough to make sure you mitigate the ratio that he has.
Yeah, right now doing a pretty good job of it for the moment. Both FCs still on the board as we continue on through the first quarter into the second. It is about 0.3% separating both of the players. And these outer column anchors could prove to be a bit of an issue, but looks like it's going to be a bit of an issue for Kzon as they find a bit of an accuracy drop going into a bit of a break section now.
Literally a whole percent ahead from Kzon's right now. This is already a dire situation to be in right now because there's still a similar section throughout the ending here.
Yeah, and Axelerixx able to handle the LNs that are being thrown at them right now. Able to read through the rights as well, relatively easy, and being able to climb back up to that 99.7 mark, a full percent separating both of the players, despite the fact that the FCs are still on the board here. Is 20,000 points in Axelerixx's favor for the moment here.
Not actually flinching at all with the rolls right here, but it's already established that this kind of accuracy difference is really what separates such high caliber of players right here. Even it actually is decreasing the accuracy difference. It's still hovering the same accuracy difference.
Yeah, both players really settling into their respective ranges, but at the end of the day, Axelerixx is going to take another breakpoint here, make it a match point situation with probably Rice 5 on the cards here to try and put a nice little bow on proceedings here.
Yeah, I if it's not in order, I'm gonna be so livid.
At this point, we're expecting it.
What's it going to be?
Rice 5.
All right, there we go. All right, there we go. We're
Man
still
of
in
their
order.
word.
The only time that I would expect that Kzon's gonna pick but in reverse order, so Hybrid 3 comes out. Alright, it's still pretty quick enough to see what's in store for both of these players, especially on the more of a denser side of the wildcard race.
Yeah, you imagine the ball is firmly in Axelerixx's court, is whether or not they want to share the aforementioned ball with Kzon, extend this match a little bit further, but it's going to take a Herculean effort to try and topple somebody who is very consistent on these harder right shards, and Kzon already finding the first drop here through the introduction.
And Axelerixx, it really doesn't flinch at all with this kind of pattern, still holding about 99.7, almost 99.8 there.
Yeah, and Kzon already dropping down into the 97% range. This might be over before it even starts. Anything can still happen, but this hill has quickly become a mountain for Kzon to climb.
Still increasing his accuracy, which, you know, I just feel that this is already settling in, especially with the score difference is already ballooning up now.
Yeah, 30,000 points and counting as we continue on here. It's really just a matter of looking to see if Axelerixx can hold on to the FC here, see what that score at the end is going to be, because it's going to be high, but how high can they go? Kzon doing very well to recover back up to the 98% mark, but they're going to need a lot more than that to mount any sort of comeback on this map. Third of the chart still left to go here.
Like, even with the miss, well, Kzon missed, so it's just really, even with that monumental collapse from Axelerixx to be able to catch up from that, 50,000 point of difference is already very big. Already down to the last section right here. It doesn't seem to be triggering some sort of any score difference to be shifted out. But even then, Axelerixx is gonna try and put a full combo on his end.
Yeah, and Axelerixx is going to successfully punch their ticket into the winners semifinals, closing it out by a score of 6-2. Not the end of the line for Kzon just yet, just going to need to make the run in that losers bracket. Very well played from both players, and that will do it for this match.
Yeah, securing the top 12 spot for Axelerixx is definitely a sight to show, especially when you consider that well, I mean top 6 in this case because of this is the winners bracket. You know, I mean even the semifinals winners bracket is gonna be tight, especially when you consider the other players from the winners bracket is also as good, if not better than him. So, you know, it's a tough hill to climb when you go even further into the winners bracket and still securing that spot into like the finals winners bracket in this case.
For sure, and we see who Axelerixx can potentially face in the semifinals. It'll be the winner between Rhymes with Mash and Poulet Furtif. Coming up in just a couple of hours, that will be the final match of the quarterfinals weekend. And depending on who wins that, that is going to be a very exciting showdown next weekend. But with that being said, we will now officially take a tiny bit of a break. There is 20 minutes separating us between the next match, and it will be Era Jungle taking on QOS. Unless there is a last-minute reschedule, that will be happening at 17 UTC. So, Mifa, anything you want to say before we close this out?
Yeah, especially with the last two matches that we're coming up into the end of the quarterfinals. So we're still gonna have that a little bit of a map push showcase that will actually occurring on Monday, especially for the semifinals showcase. You know, semifinals map push showcase is gonna be a lot harder to achieve, even achieve full combos on that respect. So you know, winners bracket and losers bracket from here onwards is really gonna be have a battle on their side to even getting very good scores in semifinals, especially.
Yeah, for sure. So, with that being said, go ahead and take a little bit of a break, maybe get some water, get some food, and we'll see you guys in about 20 minutes. Take care, y'all.